How's it go?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Going Dark, episode 14. Chop, the people wouldn't believe this, but we were talking for a little bit. I may or may not have had the entire thing muted, so it is what it is. Our first mistake as a podcast crew. I'm gonna put my hands up. That's on me.
Hey, but as far as having a podcast, I mean, I've been on other ones and seen other ones that have far worse technical issues than we do. And
Okay.
you know what? One hiccup, and also we caught it early, so
Yes,
it's
we
not
did.
like we were an hour into it and then
Yes.
we realized we had nothing recorded. But anyways, we actually have full on audio, and we're here today. We're talking about BO6, Black Ops 6. I told y'all in the last one we're gonna have a lot to unpack because it's finally been revealed. Got the trailer, got information about the actual gameplay, etc. Also, I did go to Treyarch this past weekend. I was gone. I had some business to take care of, but I did get lucky enough to go to Treyarch, and I got hands on at the game a little bit. Got some information about the campaign, multiplayer, and zombies. So between the reveal and then going to Treyarch, bro, like we could probably be here for about 20 hours if we wanted to.
I was thinking, guys, just hang on. We're going to do a 25-hour podcast. So if you guys don't mind watching a couple hours, I actually wonder what the watch time would be on a 20-hour podcast if we launched that. Like,
crazy.
It would be probably pretty good, but maybe.
I think so. We'll see that for another day.
I just have to say, number one, I'm extremely jealous. I texted him, guys, don't worry. I texted him. I said, I'm extremely jealous. Treyarch's the one studio that I've never been to because I started content in 2020 and Cold War was like coming out. So it was like pretty much already out. So I missed the opportunity to like be a part of that whole
they didn't even do events for Cold War.
I was probably.
They didn't have any events for that game.
Oh yeah, you're right. So
you didn't miss anything.
No, I didn't miss anything. So it's the last time. Did you go to Treyarch like BO4?
Yeah, that was old Treyarch though. That was in the other office. I did go to Treyarch also for MW3. But
I do remember
last
that.
time I went to Treyarch was last time they had Treyarch events was BO4.
Yes,
and that was in the old Treyarch office.
Sheesh. Which is now what, 6 years old?
Very, very old. Yeah, the place I've never been to is Infinity Ward. That is the one studio I've not been to. But between you and I, we have all the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, let's just take our time on going back to Infinity Ward, in my opinion. You can hold on that one. Let's go back to Treyarch again next year. How about that?
Yeah. But hey, that might be what happens. We'll see. But anyways, we got everything to talk about BO4. I got to go there and actually play the game myself, and so we'll talk about everything that they gave us information in regards to the game. We should probably start with the campaign because there's a lot of things that I want to say about that.
Yep.
We'll start this. I'll tell you my opinions here in just a second, but I want to know what your initial thoughts on the campaign were, getting the reveal trailer and also just any information from like the Charlie Intel tweets, whatever. Just like seeing it. What were your
So I have a couple initial thoughts. Number one, I love. We've talked about this. I love that Call of Duties when they intertwine with history, where it's part of. It's not the history, but it's like this side mission. And with the Bill Clinton thing and George Bush and all this stuff, I just
like the grounding in reality.
I am so excited for that. That's honestly one of my favorite things about Call of Duty campaigns is that part of it. The other ones don't really connect with me as much. Like I did say, I went back and played Infinite Warfare and all that stuff, and they're good campaigns. Like they're solid campaigns, but they don't click with me because it's like not real. Call of Duty always was kind of like real, like the early CODs where you were storming, the beaches of Normandy, and COD 4 was like this realistic modern shooter. World at War was going back and being kind of historical.
COD 4 was also kind of culturally relevant at the time it released.
Yes.
Like they were kind of, cutting close to the bone there a little bit.
So that always just connected with me, and that's why I think some of the early campaigns are my favorite. Black Ops 2 was a great campaign too, but honestly, I'm probably a Black Ops 1 guy over Black Ops 2 campaign wise, just because of the historical vibe with JFK. So that blew me away. And from what I saw, which you probably know this better than I do, but there seems to be having those sneaky missions back from like World War II, from Cold War. I just love those type of missions. Maybe I need to get into some games where they are like the main portion of the games, like Assassin's Creed and Splinter Cell. But sneaking around missions are so cool to me. And I believe I saw somewhere that the first mission or the sneaky mission is in the casino around a Bill Clinton rally. And I'm like,
Yeah,
that
so you're at they
that's
we
amazing.
so at Treyarch we watched that mission. We
Oh,
watched the whole thing,
oh,
and basically like you have, well, not the whole thing. They actually skipped through a couple parts, but mostly the whole thing. But basically like yeah, you have the ability to you're like in this like political party thing, this sort of like Bill Clinton, like a political gathering, and you have an objective, but you can approach it in a couple of different ways. You can like blackmail a senator's wife. You can like talk to some like like janitor guys or whatever. Like you can approach it like a lot of different ways, which are really cool. And
yeah,
also,
yeah,
speaking of the Cold War campaign for just a second, they I was actually watching my Cold War review to remember what I said about the game, and in that review, I had mentioned that Raven, when they make a campaign, they're actually very light on the point and shoot gameplay. Like a lot of the campaign was these like adventure based
yeah,
moments and scenarios, and for this campaign, it looks like they're really doubling down on that. There are going to be plenty of opportunities for the point and shoot gameplay that Call of Duty is like known for, but I think primarily they went out of their way to make each mission very memorable. And it was funny, like we were in the Treyarch presentation, and the lead guy at Raven, he was talking about like he got really into watching deep dive videos about Call of Duty and like people's favorite missions and stuff, and it kind of felt like a nod at watching my like reviews of old Call of Duty games, like the way
yeah,
that I would break down missions. So it looks like they're very much listening to that, and what that means is now they're aiming to make each campaign mission very memorable for its own reason,
yeah.
and I think that's very good news.
Well,
They did not try to do that in MW3, and
no.
I was skeptical about that campaign from the start, and I was right to be skeptical as it turns out, I feel like, but not the case with BO6. They're very much like, yeah, every mission's going to be memorable. And I'm
Yeah,
like, cool, I'm
and
for it.
well, and I think too, and I think I saw one of these leak channels. I think it was like Forward Intel or Forward something.
Mhm.
He tweeted that he thinks that they're wrong, that people were wrong about there being open combat missions in this game. It was kind of been talked about, and he just put this up like last night. He was like, I think he was assuming it might be next game now. So we might be getting linear missions with multiple choices just this campaign and not bringing that. I don't know if you, I don't know
Yeah,
if you're allowed.
I don't know what that leak was talking about, but it's not true. I mean, we literally watched one of those open combat
Okay.
missions.
All right.
But I will say this, like, they're a little bit different than they are in Modern Warfare 3.
Okay. Well, that's good.
They're a big map and you have a couple objectives, but they're not really the same. I may hold them to the same scrutiny as the MW3 ones. I need to play them first to really know what I think about them. I have no idea where that leak came from, but I mean, unless they just take it out. I mean, we literally watched a mission
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
So
Which is too
um
late at this point. I feel like they're not going to do that.
yeah, also in regards to like multiple endings and stuff like that, I did ask about that, and the answer I got was this campaign is going to be like a main thread through for the Black Ops lore. Like it's going to be a straightforward narrative. I don't
Okay.
think you're going to be able to change the outcome, but there are variances in missions that will have different outcomes. I think like the Cold War campaign.
Okay.
Um that's what it seems like to me. But yeah, it doesn't look like there's like full on multiple endings like BO2.
Yeah, well, I think, and I again, I'm kind of like browsing Twitter as we're talking. I saw a timeline, and you probably can speak more to this because I can't remember it
Mhm,
off the top of
mhm.
my head. But where
Sure.
were we in the timeline of which one did they choose? Because blank and blank are dead, and these guys are alive. I think
Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw it, but
I can break you. I can give you some interesting insight on this too because they at Treyarch they showed us this this big timeline of where all the Black Ops games fall and where BO6 is going to take place. So first you have they didn't include World at War, which is interesting, even though they
ouch.
technically have Black Ops characters. Yeah, it wasn't on there, which I thought was an oversight. But anyways, they had BO1 first, and then I believe uh BO2's 1986 missions or whatever, and then or no, I'm sorry, BO1 and then Cold War, and then BO2's 1980 missions, and then Black Ops 6, and then BO4 and then BO3 last.
Okay.
So and the way that works is we are continuing off the moments of the 1980s missions in BO2. Um, in regards to the future missions of BO2, they said that's for another time. Like,
Okay.
basically, they said put a lid on that for now.
Okay.
So
I
what
like
I
that.
think, this is a little bit of speculation, not in regards to BO6, but I think in their next game, they're going to be continuing that part of if it's a BO2 sequel, that would make sense.
Yeah.
They're continuing off that future part of the game.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're going to do, personally, based on the answer we got. But to zone in on BO6, we are just after the events of after Frank Woods got his leg shot and he's kind of like, not able to be in the field anymore. And
Yes.
we got some new characters to invest into. But yeah, that's kind of where it falls.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, it's kind of crazy because there's a lot going on. And even I just did that timeline video and revisiting that, I'm like, holy crap, there's a lot to kind of connect the dots, especially if you haven't played the games in a while and you're kind of getting back into the campaigns.
Yeah.
There is a lot going on.
hmm I think it's going to be a good campaign. And I think the people asked about the length of the campaign when I was there because I feel
Yes.
like it was an issue. Everybody got a little off put with MW3, even though we know the circumstances of that. This is a average length campaign, so I think that's good news for everyone. It's probably I would guess probably like 6 to 8 hours
That
in
was
length.
I was gonna say. I saw a tweet that said like six. Actually, it said 6 to 10, I believe it said. But I always consider COD 6 because I okay. Don't hate me for this. I do recruit because I just like
Me
to
too.
I just like to be in the realm of the game and not get.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to do the trophy thing. I'm not trying to
I don't
do
need to
the.
die in one bullet. I don't care
Yeah,
about that. Like, I want to
I'm here
experience
for
the story. I want to
story.
experience the levels. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. It's like
So
I do the same.
that's why I'm like, it's probably 6 hours for somebody like me and you that are just trying to get in there and get after it. There was another
Mhm.
thing that I liked about the campaign. I guess this kind of refers to everything, but
Sure.
the HUD. I mean,
Mhm,
giving
mhm.
multiple options for the HUD. I think
I
that's kind
will
of
say
important,
this.
man.
Yeah, I will say this: the ability to change the HUD is not in campaign. It's
Okay, so
only
where did I?
multiplayer and
Where am
zombies.
I? I must have a bad source because I thought I saw somebody say like you could add health or get rid of health in the campaign with the HUD.
I don't
So
think so.
okay.
We were told you can only do it
Well, if
in
you're going to the
empty and
studio, I
zombies.
trust you over somebody that just tweeting something
Yeah,
out of thin
I,
air.
I've seen a lot of like fake leaks on
Yeah.
Twitter or things that like just aren't correct. And there's some that are correct, some that aren't. But again, from my understanding, from what I was told directly, just multiplayer and zombies has a changeable HUD.
Okay. Well, that's. I mean, I'll take that too. But I mean,
Yeah.
campaign wise, we're speaking on campaign first. So scratch that, reverse it, and ignore that. But a campaign, I
Mhm.
mean, I'm excited for a fully fleshed out story, man. I feel like it's been a long time since I've cared about a campaign. Even Cold War, I didn't play it off. I played it in the beginning, kind of faded on it. Again, like I said, I was kind of in the Warzone hype,
Sure.
so I just didn't care enough. So the last campaign that I've really, really played and was excited for it was MW19, and
Mhm.
so it's been 5 years now. It's just crazy. I mean, I was so used to every COD having a campaign that I could play, and now it's just been, Vanguard wasn't good, Cold War I didn't
Yeah,
play right away, MW2 was just a game in general, as you know by
it
now.
was
It
a
just,
game.
it just, I just didn't want nothing to do with it. MW3 had a bad one, so
Mhm.
just the ability to play a campaign that's been produced for the last 2, 3 years, 4 years has just been.
I think it's going to
I'm
be like the
excited.
Cold War campaign, but better and more optimized and more innovative.
Yeah.
They are doing that formula again, it looks like, but trying to expand it. Like, case in point is the safe house. There was a safe house in like Cold War, but the new one in BO6 is a mansion, and it's like this big old area that you can discover
Yeah.
lore and
Yep.
things. Like that's a
I
whole
like
other
that.
section. Yeah, me too. They did it first in BO3, really, and I really liked BO3s, even though that was kind of going for a different angle.
Yeah.
I really liked when they did that. And Cold Wars was good, but lacking a little bit. And I think this one in BO6 will be a lot more expanded. It's like if you like that Cold War formula of campaign, expect that, but better in this. That's the impression I'm getting. We only saw 2 missions. that one Bill Clinton party, and then there's an open combat. I keep calling them open combat missions. They really aren't
Yeah,
that.
they're
They
they're
haven't
not
called them that.
referring to that word either, you know?
No, I don't know what to call them though, but they are these open-ended missions. But there was one in Iraq that we watched that looked pretty
Yep,
good.
yep. I'm looking at
It looks a lot more sandboxy than MW3's did.
yeah, Charlie
Uh,
Intel is calling it an open world mission
yeah,
on the Iraq one.
yeah. I don't know what that leak was saying, but yeah, they're 100% in the game.
Yeah.
Um, and they look better than MW3's. I will say that,
Okay.
but I'll have to wait till I play them to really know for sure.
Yeah, there was one
Um,
MW3 one that I liked. It was the one where you were getting intel around the crashed
where you got to
helicopter.
pick up like the phones and get the black
Yeah,
box.
like
and
I
the
thought the
thing. Yeah.
premise was kind of stupid, but I liked again, it was the sneaking around, which I liked.
Yeah.
So, if you give me an open combat mission that I can sneak around, I'm down for that. So
Like alongside scripted moments. Yeah. And
yes.
from what we understand, I think that's what they're doing. So
Okay.
that'll be
Okay.
cool.
It seems like then they got a better plan than the last COD did, which again, it's not their fault. We know that at this point, but
Yeah. They had a lot of time for this. So I think campaign is looking pretty good.
so campaign wise, we've kind of is there anything else I'm missing with campaign? I feel like we can kind of
Unless there's any questions like to be dispelled like about, because my biggest question is about multiple endings, and it looks like that's not, because like think about it, in BO2, like there was only Black Ops 1 before that, really. They make BO2 and they can kind of take it wherever they want, which is why they sort of probably went the multiple ending route, because it would be cool.
yeah.
But now that the Black Ops lore is so like tied up in the Call of Duty universe, they can't really do that anymore, it feels like,
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
couldn't have like an open-ended campaign these days, which is kind of unfortunate because I like them. But it will be a linear campaign, but it will have like multiple outcomes in the context of the missions, which is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
I
think
like
that about
that.
covers it for campaign. I
Ca-
think it's gonna be great.
That's fantastic to hear.
Oh, one thing to note, somebody in my group asked Treyarch if, because they're like, at the end of Cold War, Bell shoots Adler, or they
Uh-huh.
shoot each other, and they're like, Adler's alive, and then sort of like, is Bell dead? And they just did not answer.
Oh.
So I don't know. Make of that what you will, but who knows? That ending is still ambiguous.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Leave it up to well, I was gonna say not open to interpretation, but like maybe
Leave it up to
they're gonna do something
speculation.
with it.
Yeah, just speculate a little bit. But
Yeah, I like that. All right, moving on to let's go multiplayer because I just think there's a lot. I mean, this got me fired up because I don't know about you, but I felt like this multiplayer is this almost felt like when I was watching it, it felt like Black Ops 3 reveal to me. It
Yeah.
felt like we were getting for the first time a movement change that will hopefully change the way the game completely operates, and it just changes honestly the whole thing, the whole game. Like
yeah,
the first thing I thought about with this movement change is how in the world are we going to be able to go back to old Call of Duties? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
if this is like
Yep.
unique and fun and good and people like it, imagine playing this game for a year and then going back to Cold War where it's a little bit more of a stiff COD.
It's gonna feel a bit archaic after
Yeah.
playing BO6 and then trying to play anything before that.
Yeah.
I will say this, like, yeah, with multiplayer, the Omni movement is the greatest innovation that it has, I think. Like, I was talking to like a Treyarch dev, and I was kind of agreeing with him where it's like, dude, you play on this long enough, you will not be able to play like other first person shooters that don't have this. It's
Yeah.
gonna feel weird. And I don't really like Twitter's. I mean, it's Twitter, so take that with a grain of salt. But
Yeah.
Twitter's initial impressions on the Omni movement was very negative, and I thought that was interesting because it feels like the sentiment has been, we want more fluid movement, we want jetpacks back, we want to be able to do this stuff, and they're giving it to you.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably the best change in the movement system. I would argue, yeah, since BO3. It maybe it's not the same quite level of innovative, but it's something that my biggest takeaway is that Omni movement is going to take some getting used to, but they still managed to make it feel Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that.
Well, that was
Um,
Black Ops 3. It was jetpacks,
mhm,
but it felt like Call of Duty.
yeah, yeah. You would think that something so different and foreign would make it feel like I don't know what was the game that had like omni movement? Was it like Uncharted or something?
Oh, the
Um,
Max
oh
Payne,
yeah, I'm
and
sorry, Max
yeah,
Payne.
yeah, yeah.
It's not like that.
That's like
That
clunky.
yeah, it's very clunky in that. On face value, sure, it looks the same, but playing it is very different. Like the whole idea with Treyarch with Omni Movement was they wanted to make a fully like free flowing system, but that also allows you to chain actions and movements together. So, dude, I was going crazy on Omni Movement. I'm not gonna lie. Um, it's really good. Like after even just one match, like you'll be like, okay, I'm kind of understanding how this works now. I believe, like you can only tack sprint in forward in Omni movement, but regular sprint is like any direction.
Okay.
So tack sprinting forward is still going to be the fastest way, I believe.
Yeah.
But you can still run, slide, dive in any direction, and then proning, um, is actually kind of useful now because you can sort of flip your body around and your camera doesn't like get caught on things, when you're prone.
Yeah.
Um,
Your legs are up like this.
yeah. I mean, which is funny, but now it's actually like a lot more
There's a
polished
yeah.
and great animations now. I cannot speak highly enough of Omni Movement. That was like the thing that I was enjoying most. Very good. But yeah, I mean, as far as
I,
like,
to go with your negative statement, like Twitter had a negative statement, or sentiment, or whatever you want to call the word, sentiment. I feel like it was more because it got to the masses. Like this
Mhm.
tweet of Charlie Intel
Oh,
has
I saw that one.
14 million views. So it's like
Ay, ay,
it's
ay.
not that's not the COD community anymore.
It
That's
didn't get into the
gaming.
COD pilled scene. That was
Yeah.
gamers. Yeah.
So I think that is one of the biggest things. This game is finally. We all know back in the day, Call of Duty would come out and everybody would pay attention to the release. In the last 4 years, no chance. People look at it for a second, they go, "Oh, that's COD again. Whatever. Not gonna play it."
Yeah.
This
Not
one
this time.
brings movement. It brings all this stuff, and people are going, "Oh, wait a second, COD's doing something new," and then that's how
They're
that then
back.
they react to it. So
Yeah.
I saw that and I immediately went, man, it just feels like that era when Black Ops 3 came out. I remember it being
It like
divisive,
shook the
being
internet.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was shook the
Divisive.
internet. It went crazy. It divides everybody, and that's honestly sometimes that's the best because
That's kind of what you got to do sometimes.
yes, you got to
Like,
give people what they what they don't know if they want it or not. So
uh-huh.
I watched that movement trailer for a while, just kind of getting the feel and the vibe of it. And
Mm-hmm.
again, the movement to me looks like Cold War. It looks like
Yes.
Cold War with maybe a speed upgrade, maybe a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that's accurate. Mhm.
and again, you have the movement, and I think too, going back now that we've gotten rid of the slide canceling MW19 era, I think this will be a little bit more well received. I think at the time when Cold War came out and the movement was so MW19 was such just clean. I loved MW19 movement so much. And then
Yeah,
they
me
gave
too.
us this stiff Cold War. It was like now enough time has passed where we haven't played MW19 in so long that I think this type of movement will be it'll be more positive than it was when Cold War came out, I think.
Yeah. I hope so. I mean, for someone like me, this really works. I love the ability to move fluidly, chain movements, like the amount of player skill expression and agency has always been at the forefront of my mind. And I think that's what BO3 did so well was that really that skill expression was on full display. I would say that's going to be the case here too, for sure. And yeah, I also find it crazy how widespread BO6 has gotten to the gaming audience.
Yeah.
I think this has the biggest like potential of a Call of Duty game. And I know this is like a meme thrown around a lot, but I actually think it has the most potential of a Call of Duty game, probably since like BO4 or
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 2019. Um, it's looking good. And I do think there will, of course, be people that complain about movement. There are people that are unhappy with the matchmaking. I understand all that. And also, I do think this I'm going to call it advanced movement. I think it's going to make the problem or the perceived problem of skill-based matchmaking a lot worse.
Yes.
Like
It is.
lobbies are gonna get sweaty when people get the hang of this.
So let's break that down because we talked a little bit
Mhm.
before we started the podcast. What do
Mhm.
you think? There was no discussion about skill-based matchmaking. I think if they would have dropped some sort of, and we're not bringing back skill-based matchmaking this year, I think this game it could have been the most hyped Call of Duty we've ever had. And I
Uh-huh.
think I'm nervous for that because I've seen a bunch of tweets from a lot of people and they're going, it doesn't matter what this game brings. If it's the sweatiest game you've ever played, it's going to be tough to play it. It's going to be tough to continue to grind it, especially we have prestige now. We have the camo grind. We have all sorts of stuff that we can do.
Yeah.
But if we're going against, let's just say the M16 or something is the gun I saw, or whatever, the XM4 I saw was back. XM4 is the best gun in the game, and everybody's using it in the lobby. And you're trying to use the Galil, and it's just like you're gonna just get annoyed and not want to do it. So I hope that they come out and they're at least like, guys, we're gonna tone. Maybe that's happening in the multiplayer reveal when it comes August. I hope. Maybe they're thinking about it a little bit more. I just hope X Defiant kind of woke them up of people just want to get on Call of Duty. What I loved about playing X Defiant the last couple weeks is getting on, having a YouTube video, a podcast, music playing in the background, and I'm just farting around and I'm still going positive and I'm still having fun. And I'm not just like, I was trying all sorts of guns. I was trying the LMG, I was trying the shotgun, I was trying the sniper. I just don't do that in COD anymore. I get on MW3 and I use the MCW. And it's because I know I'm going to go 10 and 20 if I don't. And it's just like, this is not fun.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to deal with that. Also, the other thing is, like, I think a lot of people, this is going to be their first Call of Duty ever because of the Game Pass situation. And it
Welcome
seems
to
like
real
their
life,
goal,
baby.
yeah, it seems like their goal is to onboard as many new players as possible.
Yeah.
Which means they're going to want to do something to protect these newer players. And I don't know. I have a feeling that it's like, it's not going to be this kind of like free range type matchmaking where, I'm sure there'll be a little bit of that. And I think the game is going to be easier. I will say this, less so skill-based matchmaking. I just think the game is going to be easier in the beginning because everybody's going to have to get used to this new movement.
Yeah.
But once people learn that,
it's going to get
regardless,
spicy.
yeah, regardless of the matchmaking, like the matchmaking won't even have an effect. Regardless of the matchmaking, it's going to get sweatier.
Yeah.
Lobbies will get sweatier game to game because people are going to slowly adapt to this new movement, and it's just a learning curve. That will be part of it, but hopefully, they can stave that off as long as possible. But I think multiplayer will still be, for somebody like me, I think it's going to be an enjoyable experience, and I'll probably play it a lot more than I have in MP in a long time.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to talk about multiplayer. I mean, we could go on forever. There's a couple things that I want to go back to that UI that I
No, sure, yeah.
I
can tell you about that too.
Yeah. I do want to make fun of whoever was testing the UI and their grenade indicator was in the dead center of the screen. I don't know who thought, if you watch somebody, guys, just when Black Ops 6 comes out and you watch a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer and they got the UI in the middle, you might want to find somebody else to study because that's probably not who you want. But I like the ability to bring the mini map over to the right or the left or the bottom left and bottom right. What was another thing that I saw? Maybe getting rid of something maybe too. Like I can
tell you something interesting about the HUD and the UI.
Yeah.
One of the first things that they talked about when they were telling us about the game, they said they literally did this. They brought up 4 pictures of the main menus in the recent Call of Duty games. They brought up a Modern Warfare 3 main menu, Modern Warfare 2, Vanguard, and Cold War. And they said, hey, we get it. These menus don't look so good. They're a little cluttery and they're kind of confusing.
I would have stood up clapping, shouting, amen.
I was like, no way. Like, is this actually happening? And then they showed us the Black Ops 6 UI and they're like, we really want to like simplify this. And I think the people have compared it to like BO2's main menu, and it's similar. Honestly, it's similar. But the fact that they even thought about that and like took that as feedback is like, wow, that's hopeful. They realized that was like an issue for a lot of people, and they went out of their way to clean it up. Now, I will say, like, it's still not my favorite UI. It still kind of has the general layout. The biggest thing they did was collapse the playlist into like a little box,
Yeah.
and so um, it makes it look a lot cleaner, which is great. But I just think the fact that they listen to that really resonates with me, where they understand it was a problem too, and they're at least looking to remedy that, which is good.
That to me, I mean, I feel like we talk about this a lot. Certain things the player base does know, like we do know what we want, and
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. It's tough because like I like to say, players don't know what they want until they get it.
there are
I
certain
have to
things
say that
though.
there are times when and I think nostalgia is a good indicator of that. When know that there's something that you liked about something, but you can't quite pinpoint it. That's what nostalgia is trying to like uncover, is that something they got something right in the past, and let's try to nail down what it was
Yeah,
to bring it into the future. That's the point of it, I think. But um yeah, I think the UI solid, and that's a bit of an example of like, okay, we hear you guys. We're gonna fix this. There's a lot of that in zombies too, which we'll talk about. Um, that's some kind of funny things there. But I don't know. It just seems like this is a Call of Duty game where they really get it, and I genuinely mean that. They opened the presentation by saying, "Hey, what is the identity of this game?"
yeah, yeah,
Literally, what I've been preaching forever is like,
yeah.
give us Call of Duty with identity back, and that was like priority number one. And I'm like, great, okay, I'm already on board. Um, I
It,
did ask them if they would how much they were going to maintain that identity throughout the year. And they're like, I think I know what you're asking. We know people like crazy stuff, but we're gonna try to keep this a Black Ops game the whole way through.
yeah.
Is basically like what I was told. So still very hopeful. And it was good news to me.
I just I identity. We've talked about this multiple times, man. Identity is just so big for Black Ops 1 is the one game that I just think about every single time when it comes to identity. It just felt like everything across all the modes felt the exact same vibe.
Yeah, it was all like under one tight umbrella, and that's tricky to pull off sometimes. And I think they're trying to do the same thing with all parts of this game too, and that could lead us over to zombies if you want to talk about that, or if you want to stay on multiplayer. A couple of things we didn't mention about MP is like, but you probably may have seen it, is like, I'm sorry, classic prestige is back.
Yep.
Theater mode is back, huge for content creators. Um, it's like these things that were beloved staples that kind of were pulled from the game for no real reason. They're like, "Hey, this will just make a better game. We're giving you the system back." I'm like, "Great. I'm in."
Yeah.
So, I'm very excited about that.
This is gonna be the year I think where I grind a lot of stuff. Like I don't see me going back to Warzone. I really don't. And I know the
Oh.
rumors of Verdansk are swirling right now. It is most likely gonna happen at some point. I mean, it's setting up to be too. It's just setting up for it to happen. They're not really updating the big map, but
Yeah.
I don't
The nature of the beast.
I
Yeah.
want to take this Call of Duty and I want to hit all of the main 3 points again. I just want to do zombies, multiplayer, campaign, and just kind of cycle them.
Mhm.
Just because it's been a long time since I've done that, and I kind of miss that. I do like arena shooters still, and that's what X Defiant made me realize was I do like arena shooters still. People are saying how it's
Like the
arena.
genre's dead.
It's not dead. It's
Yeah,
not dead. It's
I
just
don't
not.
believe that.
So yeah, I was gonna say something else about multiplayer that I liked. I'm actually scrolling through again, Charlie Intel, trying to find.
The last thing I want to talk about with multiplayer, unless you had anything else you want to bring up too, they have that like a corner slicing animation where do the thing. It looks like the like corner leaning on
Oh
Ghost.
yes, yes.
Um, they brush over this really quickly, and I didn't really get a good answer. I don't know. They said it was cosmetic, and I don't know if that means like your players like hurt box is going to be just the same,
Yeah.
or like if you're actually like leaning around a corner. I couldn't really tell. And I didn't really get a clear answer on that. I'm sure that'll become more clear when the game releases, but I mean, it looks cool, but I don't know what it does as far as like affecting gameplay. So that's something I'm a little bit unclear on still.
Yeah, I'm glancing through trying to see if anything we missed for multiplayer. I'm not seeing anything crazy, but I feel like there's something sneaking around that I'm gonna keep.
Yeah, I think we covered the
Oh,
basics on that.
I got it. I
Oh,
got it.
go
I
ahead.
got it. I got it. I got it.
Mhm.
Maps. I knew it. I knew we missed one thing. Maps. So no maps that were in a previous game at launch. To me, that's unbelievable news. I can't. I
Mhm.
feel like I can't remember the last Call of Duty that we've had that. Maybe it's 2 Call of Duties ago, but I just that everything's going to be new to learn. Everything is new.
Yeah.
Movement, the maps, the guns. I think there is a couple guns that are coming back, but like for the majority, it's probably going to feel a little bit different. So
Yeah.
this will be the first Call of Duty where you hop into the game on day one and you're like, holy crap, where do I go? What gun do I use? That
Yeah,
I
it's not
miss
like
that so
we're getting the
much.
2009 MW2 maps. Like I already know every
Yep.
in and out of favela and Skid
Yep.
Row. It's like
Yep. And Modern
none of
Warfare
that.
2 guns, and you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, so
Oh yeah,
I,
the other thing with that is like carry forward is not coming through, and I'm like,
yes,
good.
yes.
I almost stood up and gave 'em a standing
Another
ovation for
standing
that.
ovation. Just every other thing they
They
say.
said, "Yeah, like we want this like to be a clean break." And I really appreciated that. So again, that's helping Black Ops have its own identity. Good.
Well, and
Um,
I want to interrupt you real quick because I feel like they're kind of listening to what we're saying with the Warzone splitting up and being its own thing. Doesn't it
getting
kind of
there.
feel like that from this conference? That's the first thing I thought of was they didn't cover it, they didn't talk, they didn't even mention it,
Yeah.
and then all the skins that you buy now in Modern Warfare 3 and all that stuff, all those wacky skins, they're going to be in Warzone. If you want to
Yeah.
run around with Nicki Minaj, you can do it in Warzone. But for multiplayer, single player zombies, we're breaking free from that, and it's going to be
Yeah.
this fresh
Yeah.
take. And I'm like, that's
It's like
literally
they can
what
see
we've
the
been.
light. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
what we've been saying, you know? I'm like, dude,
Yep.
I was delighted to hear that. Like genuinely some of the best news. Like they during the whole thing there, they were so focused on being like, we're talking about Black Ops 6. That's it. Like, we're not talking about Warzone. We're not talking about all this other stuff. BO6, that's the game.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
That's what
And
I
I'm like,
want.
dude, good. Like, I love it. Like, awesome. So that's very good news.
12 brand new weapons as well. That's another tweet I saw. So it's a lot of tweets are saying brand new. And that's what I want to see. Brand new
Mhm.
maps, brand new weapons, brand new movement, brand new campaign, and I'm just going to take a transition here and a brand new zombies
zombie.
experience.
Zombie
And
Zombies
ladies
is
and
back,
gentlemen,
baby.
Chopper has a job for the next year. So
I am employed.
he's employed at least for the next 2 years, most likely, with the next Black Ops. But after that, we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. But you may get
but
enough
yeah.
content with this one. You never know.
Yeah, so round-based zombies is back. Like I think a lot of us who are in the zombies community kind of knew that was coming, but it's really just good to see it happen. I covered a lot of it like in the video that I made, but 2 round-based maps on launch is very exciting. And also, I have a and I don't know this for sure, but I have a feeling that they're going to be very different in terms of vibe and also possibly even difficulty to some degree. And I think that's a great thing. You have the first map is called Liberty Falls, and this is like a sleepy town in West Virginia. And the other map is called Terminus, and this is on an island. And this actually takes place where, for those of you who beat the Forsaken Easter egg in Cold War, like in the end cutscene, like all the members of Requiem get taken off to a prison, and that prison is actually like where that map is going to take place. And the other big news that's like really good that the whole zombies community stood up for was we have a cannon crew back. That means operators are still in the game, but they are optional. By default, you're going to play as the main
Yep.
4 characters, which is Weaver, Carver, Elizabeth Gray, and a girl named Maya, and I forget her last name. It starts with an A.
Okay.
But
I'm looking for
forgive
it.
me off the top of my head. I don't remember what her last. It starts with an A, but
Okay.
it's Maya, new character. So we have a crew for the whole, both maps.
The whole
You
kit
can
and
play as
caboodle.
operators if you want. Yeah. And Gobblegums are coming back too. So this is one of those funny things that you said, oh, they're actually like listening to us. In Kevin Drew's little like interview thing, it felt like very Jason Blundell's kind of funny. But they had the like Kevin Drew was talking about the thing, and then there's like a glass of like gumballs, and then under it there's a book called Thanks for Your Feedback, and then under that book there's a little like Black Ops 3 like PlayStation or something. But it's just like, okay, it took them like 10 years to figure out that everybody likes BO3.
Well,
um
I almost wonder, just to interrupt you, like
yeah, go ahead.
maybe the people, this is going to be a wild statement, but, and you'll know this better than me, maybe the people that were in charge at that time, maybe they didn't have a good direction, and maybe these people that were kind of like in the shadows that are now taking over have kind of realized what this next generation player wants. I don't know. I'm
Mhm.
just throwing it
I
out
think
there.
no, I think Treyarch has brought on a lot of new people recently, and I think a lot of them are like hardcore zombie fans.
Yeah,
And I
that's
think
huge.
that's great for the game. Like
Yeah.
people who know the game, they're passionate about it, they love it, and they are providing a lot of the input onto this mode. And from what I was told and everything, and what I gathered, they really looked at zombies and tried to pull the best aspects from older zombie games, but also introducing new things that are only in BO6. And I think that is like a wonderful, combination to have. I think it's going to be like similar to Cold War's foundation as zombies, and I love the foundation of Cold War, and I think they're going to expand on that further, and probably like they're going to double down on the amount of Easter eggs and secrets and things like that. But everything we learned about zombies, the crew, Gobblegums, 2 round-based maps on launch, um, like that's all I needed to hear, and
Yeah.
I'm in. Honestly, like I'm in. I literally could not be happier about what we were told. There's nothing that I'm like skeptical about in the same way that I was skeptical about like Modern Warfare zombies, where I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna
Uh-oh.
be for I don't know if it's gonna reach zombie fans.
Yeah.
And looking back, I kind of feel like that sentiment was right a little bit. There was this split in the community where there is a subset of round based lovers only. And then there's this other group of people that kind of like, the new MWZ stuff. Uh and there's a little bit of crossover, sure, but I think that BO6 is really recognizing that people want a good round-based map again, and they're coming out in full force.
Yeah.
I literally could not be happier. There's nothing that I was apprehensive about. Like everything is fantastic news. Gobblegums and theater mode, that's it.
We didn't even talk about
Like,
theater mode yet. We got to dive into that a little bit, but
yeah.
I
Uh,
I'm with you, man. I think this zombies is going to be something I really, really want to dive into. Not into the level that you do with the, every single thing that but just being able to pick it back up, and like you said, it's maybe easier to approach these zombies as a
Yeah.
casual fan.
Yeah.
And that's what I kept telling you in these previous podcasts. Zombies got too crazy for me. I'm like, I don't know what is going on anymore. I just want to hop on, shoot some zombies with the boys, and then get out of there. And I feel
Yeah.
like they're approaching that. They just seem to, everything that we've said, I feel like in the last couple months with these podcasts and our videos, are like our personal videos.
It seems like they're coming to fruition
I
now.
just feel like they've been watching our content, and I'm okay with it. So maybe
Well,
they
what's
are.
interesting is
Maybe
no,
they
go ahead.
are.
I told them like I was thinking like I was saying that how important it is to give zombies this low barrier to entry where it's like casual, anyone can pick up and play. But if you can manage, also having like a really hardcore high skill ceiling for like hardcore zombie players too. If you can make a map that has both of those polar ends, like very easy to get into, but difficult to master, you won.
Yes.
That's that's the zombies formula. You won if you can manage that. So I'm hoping that the maps can be as approachable as like the Cold War zombie maps are, but maybe can have the difficulty ceiling raised to something like BO3
Yeah.
or even BO4 to some degree. Um, so it seems like they are aware of that, and they know that that's what a lot of people would like. So I don't know. It's very hopeful for me, and I, as somebody who really enjoyed Cold War, I think they had a great foundation there, and I'm looking forward to them expanding on that.
Yeah, I am very excited. Honestly, the West Virginia map is kind of the one that I like. It kind of
Liberty Falls gonna go crazy.
yeah, I like that that feel. I remember when Fallout came out with that. Was that Fallout 76 that had the West Virginia Take Me Home trailer?
Yeah, I think so.
I just remember being like, I love that. I mean, it probably helps because I'm close to that, state. But
Sure.
I don't know. It just was. I like that they're going with that route. It just,
Yeah.
I'm
I
impressed.
so
I'm
so
impressed.
one of the things that I really liked about Origins, and this is like just a zombies thing in general, and I think this is what they're doing with Liberty Falls. I could be wrong. But I love the idea of having like you've played Origins on BO2, right? Like you're
Yes.
familiar with that map.
Yes.
So you have like the really gray and dreary and monotonous battlefields of World War One, just
Uh
very
huh.
unremarkable. And then you have the Undercroft area, like not the Undercroft, the crazy place with like, these agarth and crystals and like all this stuff like just underneath the surface. And I'm like, that's so sick. That's like what zombies is. It's like you have the monotonous, tedious gameplay of shooting zombies and rebuilding barriers,
Yeah.
but then you have that other layer underneath of there's some things to discover if you look hard enough, you know? Like that's what it is, bro. And I think maybe that's what they're doing in Liberty Falls. I would love that. We'll have to wait and see. I have a feeling that that's where it's gonna go.
I
But if
actually,
that's the case, dude, we are so back.
I would love to also do that Easter egg at some point. The one that you said that you go to the next island. You go to the
Oh yeah.
island. Does that take a while to get there or no? Like, is that a long
Um
Easter egg?
on Origins?
No, the one that were the Cold War finisher that leads to the Black
Oh
Ops
yeah,
6
yeah, yeah.
map.
Forsaken? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we could do that if you want. It's very easy.
I would love to do that one time.
Okay, yeah, we could do it this week. It's very easy.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna start doing BO2 at some point soon, and then but I'm down to obviously do that whenever. I
Sure.
just I'm all in on Black Ops. I'm just doing Black Ops everything. All my
Yeah, we should
content's
do
gonna be
that because
Black
it's a
Ops.
good lead into BO6.
Okay. First time doing
Man,
the what'd you call it again?
it's called Forsaken.
Forsaken. Okay, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
really cool map and a good lead into Black Ops 6. Literally, I won't spoil it for you, but at the very end of that cutscene is where the beginning of Black Ops 6 Terminus is going to take place.
Okay. Okay.
So,
So,
hey,
and then I guess we'll kind of just talk about theater mode. This has been something that's been talked about for a long time to come
yeah,
back, and I believe did
I
Black Ops
didn't think
4
it
have
would ever
theater mode?
happen. Yes,
Okay, so
that was
we're
the last COD to have it.
6 years ago. We're talking about it. I'm obviously excited for it. I'm more interested in where it'll go with content. Like what content will be, who will come up with this insane idea with
Yeah,
the theater mode that becomes like the next thing of content. And I saw Wildcat, who's a big search and destroy like guy, or he was at one
yeah.
point. I don't know if he is anymore, but you know, some of their probably top content back in the day was using
Was theater mode
was
BO2
using theater
SPD.
mode. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for that type of content. I would love to try to make some of that content as well.
I have a lot of uses I think for theater mode, and I'm so excited to have it back.
Yeah.
The thing that's interesting is so I thought theater mode would never return after BO4, and I was told by devs that the reason that like a lot of the recent Call of Duties haven't had theater mode is because it's like a security issue, and uh it allows like cheaters to back into the game easier, stuff like that. I don't know all the reasons, but basically like it was a threat to the game's like integrity. And um, another point they made sure to really drive home, which I thought was weird, is they said this game is on the new unified engine. And they said this engine is not owned by any studio. And I think what they were getting at is, including myself, like we have all said that, this game's going to be on the Modern Warfare engine.
Yeah.
They said no studio owns it. They said it doesn't even have a name. They called the Call of Duty proprietary engine, which I don't know. I don't know if it's true
Well,
or not, but
they've always been on the same engine like back in the day, but it still felt like different games, right?
I believe there was variances of like like Treyarch used a different build than I think IW is using. I'm pretty sure. But they are on like the Call of Duty proprietary engine now. One thing I want to point out about that really quick. Not only is it a miracle that they allowed theater mode to be on that engine again? Because I thought it would never happen. So that's great. But I will say I feel like somehow, despite being on this new proprietary engine, not the Modern Warfare engine, they actually managed to make it still look and feel like a Treyarch game.
That's good. I don't want it to feel like Modern Warfare 3.5.
hmm I don't think we'll have that problem.
That's feels
It still
fantastic.
looks and feels patently Treyarch. It has that slightly more poppy color palette. It's a little more plasticky and cartoony.
Yeah,
And you know what? Great. They maintain the vision of the art, and I'm all for it.
yeah, I love it. I don't know if I have anything else with this podcast. To be honest, we covered all three things. We don't have to cover Warzone because it was not talked about.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think we just wanted to give everybody like a rundown of everything that happened, like all the condensed bullet points, and what I gathered at Treyarch. It was good to go there and share it with you guys. And I say this with all like sincerity. I think we're in for a good year.
we're back.
I think we're back. I'm not just saying that because I'm employed now. I was playing.
Yeah,
but I actually think we're back.
Truthfully, like we talked about, if this game somehow was bad or is somehow bad, I don't know what the heck I'm going to have to do. It might be a full-on switch to Star Wars content, which that content's just as toxic as Call of Duty. So I picked the two.
Oh, yeah.
I might have picked the two worst fan bases in the world, but here we are, and I'm enjoying it. So.
hmm But yeah, I think we're gonna get more information over the coming months. But they've already given us quite a lot, and in typical Treyarch fashion, they always keep a little something up their sleeve. So
Yeah.
I think we have a lot more than we even expect, even though we have more than enough content compared to what we got last year.
Yes.
That will all be available at launch, and if they can
Finally.
maintain the level, the one thing we didn't talk much about is live service, but we'll talk about that at a later date. If they can maintain the same level of like stellar content throughout every season consistently,
Yep.
we won, bro.
We
Like,
we
wrap it up.
might stay on. It might be a situation where Black Ops 2, where we played Black Ops 2 for like 3 years,
for like multiple years. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah,
could
we'll
see
see
it
about
happening. I
that.
really could.
If the quality is that good, then I think people will be in the door, and that's what they're going for. So yeah, I don't think the news could be any better, personally.
Love it. Well, folks at home, that is episode 14 of the Going Dark podcast. We thank you all for watching. I mean, we've been doing pretty well with the views. We got more guests planned. Just kind of, with Black Ops season, we everybody's grinding right now, so we're trying to kind of schedule wise, we got to link up and get that synchronized. So we got people on the books. So just hang on, hang tight. But
Going to be a big year for us.
Yeah. Anything else?
I mean, if y'all want to dive deeper into BO6 content, we are going to make our own individual content respectively. So you can go check that out too. And we do have a live show happening on the 22nd in Boston. There will be some information if you want to leave it in the description. It's coming up quickly. So if you guys want to see our first ever time like doing a face-to-face live show in front of a live audience, everybody feel free to come through. Come check it out. We'd love to meet you guys. And it should be a great time.
My last plug, make sure you review the podcast on Spotify and Apple Music. We really appreciate when you do that. Leave a like, subscribe if you're on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. That's probably the top two. Also, I've been updating my Snapchat shop. I don't know if this sounds insane to you, but Snapchat kind of popping again. So I am back on Snapchat updating my stuff. So if you want to follow me over there as well, it's T-Dog Smitty everywhere. But and then Chopper, he's on Twitter, he's on Instagram, he's on YouTube, he's on all the good ones pretty much. But I think that's it. We appreciate you guys watching, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.